Good morning, everybody. This looks so random at the moment. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my stream. I'm going to like switch off this camera and whatever because yeah, we're not going to really need it. Oh, maybe I should turn that down. As always, when I think I've muted stuff, then it's not muted. Oh, goodness. Good morning, everybody. TGIF, it's Friday, as some say. How are we all? If you're in, please say hello to me. Chat in the chat. Let me know that you're there. And if you have any questions on what I'm going to do today, please say something so that I know what's potty, so that I know that you're there. I got a new toy, which is really awesome. My lovely husband insisted that I get it. You can sort of see it there. I'm gonna be moving the camera a lot today because the setup's a bit strange because I'm trying to, as you can see, I've got a box. I need to work in the box, and I need to work in the box for a reason. And I'm just thinking, I need a light going in here. I'll just give me 5 seconds. Oh, and I need a 2-prong plug. Where's my 2-prong plug? I think an extra light to shine in here so that you can see better. Sorry, guys. Now, just like as I'm talking to you, I realized that I probably need extra light because it's looking kind of dark in there, and I need a 2-prong plug for this as well. So let me just quickly hook us up here. Okay. So yeah, unfortunately, you're gonna see things like lights and cameras and all the rest of it today, which you don't normally see. Can I work like this? That's another question. Oh, that's better, because now you can see. Okay, so I'm actually just going to pop it over here, so that's out the way. I know you're going to see it, but I'm going to switch that camera off anyway. So I'm going to just switch it off for now. So I got this beautiful, oh, yeah, because I'm set up weird, I'm going to be moving the camera a lot, okay? So I'm just going to go, I'm going to be moving around. Okay, so I got this beautiful baby. Apparently this is the recommended one that pretty much all the bakers use. I'm sure this is not just for edible paint. I'm sure you can use it on normal paint, but obviously I've bought it specifically for my cakes and stuff. So, and obviously I've literally had it for the last month and I've only used it once. I used it last week for my Harry Potter cake, and so today I just wanted to show you what's inside, how it works, just like basic, what you can do, what kind of paints, test around, play around with it, things like that. I'm going to be using dummy cakes. I'm not doing actual cakes. I haven't covered them in anything. I'm actually going to not, I've covered some in paper just so that we can see. It's gonna do the exact same thing whether we paint on paper or whether we do it onto fondant or buttercream or whatever. I did, however, find that when I did the spray painting last week, I landed up using buttercream to cover my the base of my board. So when I spray painted the base of the board and my cake was obviously in fondant and the base of the board was in buttercream. I have to say this, that it looked so much better on the buttercream than it did on the fondant. And the reason why I say that is because with the fondant, I was using, so it depends on how you use fondant. So when I use fondant, I try not to get that elephant skin look. So by doing that, I only work with vegetable fat. So obviously wherever I touched vegetable fat, it did not paint evenly over, because obviously the oils and stuff. So I say this also because, like, obviously if you want to spray paint, which is what I really want to do, is like if I do sugar flowers, but I'm going to do them all white, and then I'm going to spray paint them the colors that I want and in the efforts that I want, which is something I definitely want to do live as well. I want to test out. So I want to make some white, like roses and different flowers, like tiger lilies and stuff like that. And actually, I make them white, and then we spray paint it the color that we want it. It comes up beautifully. So, but it takes a lot of practice. And but the thing is that I use a lot of vegetable fat when I'm making my toppers and the sugar flowers. So I'm constantly got vegetable fat on my fingers, and it's I'm working with it the whole time. So we're going to see how much that really affects when you spray paint, because I did notice that in the areas that there was the vegetable fat, that where like I had where I was like joining seams and I smoothed it out, it did seem to have like this weird look to it. It wasn't even or anything like that. So just need to be aware of that. But the buttercream, it sprayed beautifully. Even with my gum paste, actually, I mean, even in places, because I had made book toppers, and it spray painted beautifully. So what I was really amazed by was the fact that I could spray paint chocolate. So amazed, so happy about that. So I struggle to I've tried all the different things that people tell you to do to be able to color white chocolate. I never get it to the color I want it, or the brightness or anything, and I always get these speckles, and it just never looks good. So I generally don't ever do colored cake pops. I don't do any colors. It's I either do white color or I do brown, chocolate, but that's it. But what's amazing is that last week I made golden snitch cake pops, and I spray painted everything, because because it's a golden snitch. So I had made wings, and I had put them in the cake pop, and I spray painted the cake pop, and the wings came out amazing. So I was like, I'm so happy about that, because that means that now if someone says to me that they want pink cake pops or blue cake pops, I can actually just go and spray paint them all, let them dry, and then take it from there, which is awesome. Also, another thing is, obviously now when someone requests, now I've actually got a cake order for next week's Tuesday, which requires the majority of the cake to be black. So now that's another thing. I'm not going to mix black color now. There is absolutely no need for it. So the reason why I'm going to now, from now on, if someone requests a black cake, I will airbrush it black, is because it actually comes out quite nicely. It comes out beautifully, but that way, if you eat black buttercream, everything is black. Your mouth, everything. It is so, and once I've colored buttercream black, whatever's left over, I can't really use. So I land up throwing away that buttercream. So I think going forward, if like now Tuesday, I've got a customer who's got a requesting, it's a black cake with the Apple Mac logo. So it's all black. So I'm going to spray paint that cake black. That way, it's going to look amazing. But the thing is, then it's not going to be so much black. So literally only the outside crusting. So when you cut the cake, you'll see white buttercream with this like thin layer of black, which I think is so much better, because instead of having this craziness of black, because also you need quite a bit of food coloring, and when I make black to be pitch black, because this is also the one way of making it. When your cake then is pitch black, it'll paint pitch black, which is amazing, because when you're trying to mix either with fondant or with buttercream, when I mix to get it pitch black, I mix at least 3 colors. So I will mix black that I've got, which is pitch black. But if I don't mix another color with it, I really don't get it pitch black, and I get this like gunmetal black. And everyone wants dark, rich black. So to do that, you need to put in at least 2 other colors. Doesn't matter what colors they are. Can be purple, can be blue, can be green. Doesn't matter. And just a dab of it, but it changes it to pitch black. So it just needs so much coloring in with black to get it nice and black, that I think spray painting it black is just going to be so much better. And I think it's going to be the same for red, because red is also a pain in the bum where you can't get red. Not that I'm going to try out red today, but I will try it out at some point. I want to see how it paints, because again, if someone wants a red cake, I'd rather spray paint it red than actually mix those colors. It's not, and by no means is this cheating your customer out of anything. For those who are bakers, I don't feel like it. I actually think it's better, because then you're not landing up with a red mouth or a blue mouth. You'll get, obviously you will have, but not as much. And also your customer's not getting that much food coloring in their stuff. So I have it's very difficult, because I think to a certain point, having so much food coloring is not always that great for you, even though it is edible and stuff. And I say this because, like, my husband seems to be allergic to copious amounts of food coloring, and because a red velvet cake uses quite a lot of, if you make it this way, the standard recipe, I've devised my own recipe for red velvet because of this issue with my husband, where if he eats anybody else's red velvet, he ends up being sick. And I think it's because of the amount of food coloring that goes into it, because every recipe that's out there is, you need an entire bottle, maybe 2 bottles of Moya's food coloring, and I don't believe that that's good for you. So if you can spray paint it and it looks just as beautiful, I don't think that there's any, we're still getting the buttercream. In fact, I think it would be better than it all being red, or but we shall see. This is what we're going to do. Okay, so should we open and have a look? So in your box, you're going to get your pipe that you're going to use. And then we're going to get our goodies, which is, way they've packed it is really strange, because you need this jobby that doesn't have a spot in here, which is strange. So now it's got nowhere to go, so it just floats around in the box, which is really stupid. I would much rather have it lying here somewhere. So and there's nothing that goes here, so that's also random. So I'm actually probably going to just possibly cut a hole in my sponge so that this can go into it nice and flat, so that it can stay with it. This is a spanner, apparently. I'm not too sure what that's for at this point. I don't plan to find out. And then this is our airbrush. So we actually only need these 2 things, not the spanner, and I don't know why there's extra space. So it does kind of get packed a bit strangely, you know. Okay. So, and then what else we get before I continue? We get our plug, which we will, you know, it's a 2-prong plug. I was running around looking for a 2-prong plug, which we'll plug in here. Okay. And this is quite long, so even though my plug is it's probably going to just reach, I might land up putting the compressor on the floor, which is also fine because it's quite long, so it's not a problem. And then we have the compressor. So my little machine here is what does all the work. This here is to, you pop it in here. So that's what I'm saying. This is something that you actually need, but now you can't find a space for it. And then this sits like that, which is really awesome. So when you're not using it, you can pop it like this and quickly do what you need to do and then take it out or whatever. And also when you're filling it, you can, you know, you can, so I like to put it in, fill what I need, close it, and then move it from there. So it's still coming out. Okay. Sorry, I've washed it and there's water coming out. That's what I needed, a jug of water. Okay. So then what's going to happen is that this is going to connect here at the bottom. So you see there's an open pot. This just stays closed. Like a normal, really is, like, it's a mini compressor. So, so you just screw that on nice and tightly. Not, obviously not too tightly that you can't do anything with it. And then this end then will go onto that one there, okay? And it'll screw in there. But before we start, before I do that, I just want to show you what everything is. So you kind of have all these little pieces come apart. So there's a tiny little needle here, which you're not going to see because it's so tiny. You really need to protect that. So if you can, try not take these off. I kind of only just take them off to rinse them out. So the one comes off and then the other one comes off. So I'm not sure why both come off. But yeah, you don't want to mess around with the little needle or anything like that. Also, you can, but don't. You can take this whole thing apart, unscrew here and take it apart. I'm not going to do that. And I say that. So I went for lessons with Julie's Cake Studio in Claremont. She's really good, and she does lots of. That's her sole business. Is she does cake art, and she teaches to do cake art. So I just actually wanted to go and get a bit of in-person training. And what happened was that she said to me, "Now don't undo all of this." And she went and did it with hers. And when she put it back together, she couldn't get her compressor to work. So I don't know what she had done wrong. And she said she would sort it out later. But yeah, so the advice is not to open this unnecessarily. Okay. This here is I don't know, for a lack of a better word, it opens and closes the compressor for you. So when it's down like that, nothing is going to come out. So as you open it, then I think it changes your pressure on how much spray you get. So obviously the more open it is, the more spray you'll get. So that's all. These are things that I haven't really fiddled with yet because I haven't had it long. This is your switch to, so basically when it's down like this, nothing comes out and it just sits. The minute you open it, when you pull it back like that, it'll start spraying. And then this is your little cup area that you put your paint in. So so it's can you see in there? There we go. You can actually see quite nicely. Okay, so you can see that. So, but if anything gets stuck in there, it'll clog this up. And obviously it's best not to open this all up all the time, and because you can damage that needle, and you don't want to damage that needle. So there's like a tiny little hole. So there's that hole, but when you look down there, there's a tiny little hole. So sometimes that hole gets plugged up. But I'll show you how to unclog it. So that is what we're going to do. Okay. So then for me, I think the best thing for cleaning purposes is to just have really hot soapy water and wash it down. What I did find worked really well to get inside this area down here, inside there, was to use a nice soft paintbrush. This is a very soft paintbrush. So with the soapy water, I just gently cleaned it out with the soft brush, and it actually worked out quite nicely. So when you actually, before you start, to make sure that your your airbrush is clean. So obviously the first time you use it, it's going to be clean, but like I've used it now and I've had gold in it, and like if I want to use any, between colors, I would put, so you can just pour a little bit of water in, clear water, and close this cap. This cap seems to be a thing to close. So I'm just going to pop it here because I haven't plugged it in yet. So let me just plug it in. Yeah, you see, I'm going to have to just reaching. just. Okay, so there's my plug. So this thing can turn around. So let's just do it like that so we can. I also found that this compressor moves around, so just be careful with it. Yeah, like I don't have them in much space, so that's why I say I might just put it on the floor where it's safe, and have the compressor, and then just have this at the top here, because it's more than likely going to jump around. So before we start, I'm just, because mine is it has been used now, so let's just going to move the camera so that you can see up there, and I'm going to switch my camera off. So I'm working inside a box. You want to really kind of try and work in a box as much as possible. Unfortunately, like if you have a really large cake like I did, sure. Oh no, wait, what am I doing? Wrong camera. Wrong thing. Laptop off, logo off. Okay, so you kind of want to work in a box, and the reason for that is that there's a spray. It's the reason why I've set it up so that I can try and be away from my laptop and the equipment as much as possible, because it's because you get this like fine dust spray that you don't see, but it will settle there afterwards. Okay, so if you can, try and work inside the box, utilize the sleeves and stuff like that, to stop it from spraying in directions that you don't want it to go, Okay, so I'm going to just try and move the camera a bit so that you can see better. Which way? And we're going to switch on the light as well, because that's going to help. Okay. Right. So I thought now I could put the camera in portrait position, but that did not work. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're just actually going to run the water through the compressor. So you'll be able to switch it on. And so nothing's this at the moment, because I'm not pulling anything back, just air is coming through, nothing else. So when you pull this back, the water will come through. So now if you want to change colors, So I'm just going to run it through until it's finished, so that I can make sure that the airbrush is clean on the inside before I use anything. So this is just basic, water, steam kind of thing. You're not going to see anything. Okay, so now you can hear it's finished. Right. Okay. So that's just cleaned it through, so that we can then, actually put a proper color in there without it tainting the color. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay. So that's just while we're talking. So I've shown you that's, and actually that's the way you should clean it as well. So what I do is I wash it with soapy water to clean it on all the outside places I can see, and then I run it 2-3 times with clean water through it, and then I change. And if I wanted to say go from black to gold, then I would run the water through it until it's clear before I change over to gold. That's just me. I don't want the black affecting my gold. So they say, so I got mine from a specific supplier, and they were insistent that I use Barco, and it's especially used for airbrushing, but you've got to shake it really, really, really well. I'm not going to use the silver. Actually, I want to try out the pink. So I went thinking that this paint was like completely different. Okay. And they're like, no, you can't use gels, and you can't use this, and you can't use that. You need to use the airbrush. Now, nothing against them, obviously. But not really the case. You don't have to use this. These are super expensive for this amount that's in here. And what I've worked out is basically what's inside here is powder. You know, the powders and the quick dry. That's what this is comprised of. And how I've worked that one out is because of the gold. Because of the super, the shiny colors. So, because what happened was that I bought gold, and it all says let it, must shake it really well. And the reason why you need to shake it really well is because the powders have settled down at the bottom here of your, oh, you can't see it. The powders have, let me do it this way so you can see more of what I'm doing. The powders have settled down, so you can actually see it. That's the powder. And that's the quick dry. So you have to, you need to mix it, okay, because you're not going to get the full color, the full effect of these colors unless you mix them. But I'm going to say that you can save your money and don't buy the paint. I did not know this, and obviously I only found out when I went for my lesson. And yeah, I'm pretty sure they would not be happy with me saying this, but it's spending money unnecessarily. So the reason why they want you to use this is obviously because if something goes wrong with your machine, if it gets clogged up and stuff like that, and I'll show you how to unclog it. But if something goes wrong, then they're going to say, well, what are you using? Are you using this, or are you doing your own thing? And obviously then they want to blame it. If something's wrong with it, they'll want to say that it's because you're using that and not this. Okay, so you can see how that settled so much. So now the color is completely different. If you had just used it as it was settled, that one you can't see as much. The pink one you can see now. So now the yellow one's quite liquidy compared to the pink. I don't know what the purple one's like. So it would have come out looking quite weird because it wasn't mixed properly. Okay, so then I used the gold, and I had a little bit left in here and I walked away. And when I came back to cleaning my thing, it had dried to a powder. Hence why I tell you that these are actually comprised of this and quick dry. So so you could mix your own. So I've got a huge a range of different, I really only use shimmers in powders. And you can use a little bit of this and a little bit of that, maybe even with a little bit of water, because I have tried it with water. So what I did is that I don't have black in this. So I needed black for the cakes that I sprayed last week. So what I did, instead of using that, I used gels. I used my black gel and I mixed it with water so that it was a nice runny, not so that it was a good runny consistent, it was watery, but it wasn't watery to the point where it was losing the color. Okay, so it still had a good color, but it was now nice and smooth. So I'd mixed the gel enough that it was now runny. And actually that, with the gel and the water, I found came out quite nicely. If you mix it nicely, mixed really, really well and not lumpy or anything like that. You must mix it really well. But then you can actually store that and it'll stay in that. So you can almost make your own spray paint gels, colors. And then whatever you don't use, you can put into a tub and close it and you'll be able to use it again. Whereas with the quick dry, when you use it with the powders and that, it evaporates. And I found that the quick dry with the gels don't work very nicely. But if you do gel and water, you'll get a nice, I'm going to show you, I'm going to do one. And then, actually, that's what I might do first. Because let's just pick a color. And then to show you, so let's do pink, one of their colors. And then I'll show you how I went about with mixing colors and stuff like that. And then you just have fun with it, really. I mean, you can use stencils and whatever, and I practice. And I that's what I'm going to do some on this because it's got some texture. And then I'm going to do some on these where I've covered paper, so that you can see. Okay, so I'm just going to just turn it down a little bit more. So then you just squeeze a little bit of color into here. Obviously, when I say a little bit, I'm not talking about that little, because that's going to just disappear so quickly. You need to do at least a quarter of it to get any kind of, and like if you're doing like a whole cake where you're going to spray paint the whole cake, you'll probably land up filling it once or twice, because you also, depending on the intensity of the color that you want, you'll I can never get this closed properly. Depending on the intensity of color, so obviously the lighter you spray, the further away you spray, the lighter the shade of spraying you'll get, as opposed to a darker shade or whatever. But you can, by spraying more, you'll get a darker shade. So just to test it, we're going to switch it on. And we're going to spray it up. I'm going to spray it down here. Let me see here. Let's go over here where you can see. So it flows quite nicely at the moment. So if you're doing this and it's not flowing nicely and it's getting blocked, then you need to sort something out. I will show you how to do it with that cleaner. I'll show you. So this pink looks very red, comes out looking quite red. Okay. So what we can do, I'm going to just test it out on that. So and you know, that they say that, like, now this has got like speckles and stuff. I'll show you now what I'm talking about. And I'm using their paints. And I don't think their paint is any better than me not using their paint, to be honest. So yeah, you can get a good spray from behind. You can go closer and then start writing if you wanted to. You don't want to, you know, so I would do like, you do like an even spray. If you were doing like a whole cake and then you were doing it like a vignette, you would start off with, you know, I would say that if you were doing like from light pink to dark pink, I'd start off with the light pink all round and then slowly go darker, darker, darker pink. And then you'd spray it more and more. I do say that you need to not spray on the same day that your customer collects. Please don't do that, because your cake will not be dry for you to finish whatever it is that you need to finish on it. So I spray painted the day before for it to dry so that I could then put my toppers and everything on the next day. So you can see you can get a nice black vignette depending on how light you can go. Okay, it's coming to an end. So this looks very red and this is supposed to be pink. So funny. I find it amazing that it's supposed to be pink. But it's coming out red. I just want to see now the difference. What I'm going to do. Sorry. So now it's like a dust. So just be aware of it. So I'm going to mix. I want to see what the difference is. So I'm going to, so this is basically what it looks like. So it looks quite speckly, but it's a really awesome effect. But it's not meant to be speckly like that, okay? And that's with their paint. See, they'll tell you no, that it won't do that. Now I don't know why it's splattering like that. I think it's the paint itself. You know, this kind of splatter. And it will look like this on the cake. So this is not making it any different. Okay. My daughter has all these different little experiments that all come with all these amazing little beakers and stuff, which work really, really well. So just put a blob of gel. You won't use the gel straight. That will definitely clog and it won't even spray. It just won't spray. Nothing will happen because it's too thick. And then we'll just add some water. You mix it. So obviously mixing the gels can take a bit of time because it also gets a little bit of speckles and stuff like that. So you've got to really mix it. I'm not sure if mixing hot water would be better, which is possible if you mix it with hot water so that it dissolves nicely. But just make sure that you don't have any lumps and bumps in here, because any of these lumps and bumps that come out of here, it's going to clog this up. So the purple's quite dark and it's quite watery, you can see. But if it's watery like this, it will go through your compressor, your airbrush, and it will work. That's what I did with the black. And it came out really, really nicely. So obviously this is going to take on a bit of the pink effect because I'm not going to wash it out. So just pour some in. always spray off your cake or whatever before you continue, just so that you can see what it's doing before you go. So this was a little bit of purple, so it's going to change to a purple. But I'm going to get the same effect. So for me, I find that this works, but then it just must be a little bit further away because it's water. And rather do extra layers to get a nice, see there, so now it's starting to blotch because I have of the water. But if you were doing like, let me do. Okay, so obviously something that's more matte and porous will work better. So that's why I think the spraying it buttercream is so much better. Spraying. And I run out. But you see that it actually works. That it actually works quite nicely with having used your gels. And I buy gels like this. So, and I've got enough colors. So I actually didn't need to buy airbrush paint. I could have, if I'd known this, I wouldn't have spent a couple of $100. I would have just done this. But again, it's because they don't want you to use it, because if you do and something happens, then they're going to say, well, what kind of paint are you using? So what do we do with this one? This definitely looks better. So obviously the coating on the papers making it blotchy, because what's happening here is what happens with so you see how you can do it lightly. Okay, so if you had to do like a nice vignette cake, basically, you make it nice and light. The more you coat it, the darker it will be. So if you wanted a nice and light all around like this, so that it was an ombre cake, that's basically what we're going to do with this one. This does work out well. I might just get a bigger one for me to play with. I've got lots. And then, so then start at the bottom again and work your way up. And then you can go, where you want to go to where. But now for me, I would, if it was an actual cake, I would have sprayed, and then I would have left it for an hour or so to just settle and dry before I did another layer. I feel like if you do a layer on top of a layer, you're going to start getting splotches and stuff. So for me, do a nice light layer. If you wanted to do this ombre, do a nice light layer, and then wait, give it an hour to dry, then come back and do the next layer, give it a bit to dry, and then do the next one. That's what I would do anyway, because like now it's getting, what's happening because it's not dry, getting, I don't know if you can see it, and you see that there's splotches because this is not dry. Okay. So let's see what else we can paint. Now I feel like I should go and get a big one so we can really see. But you can see how it's, let's just do that quick. Okay. So you can see how nicely it's going from, so we did a nice light and then we started going darker. So I would go, if you're going to do an ombre cake, do it light, do a nice light dusting so it's pretty much even all round. Let it dry. Do the next one, always starting from the bottom, going up, so that you're basically layering it. And then to a certain point, you have the one color, let it dry, and then you just do like a rim at the bottom so that you have this nice. You would do the same thing if you were doing a rainbow cake, I would always suggest start with the light color and always blend your colors. So like a rainbow, if you've ever watched me mix colors, I always go yellow to orange, orange to red, red to pink, pink to purple. So I would even spray it in that order. So I would go, if I was doing a complete yellow, rainbow. So I feel like we should do that. But you would have to be careful because obviously, like I would start with I would like spray the whole thing yellow. I'm saying work your way up. So I would do yellow, but then you've got to be careful because by the time you get to your last color, it might end up being black because it's a whole lot of colors. So you'd have to see. I'd really actually. So I really do need to try that one out, but we can make that another live where I do that. So you can see it is wet. So like see there you can. So I would say actually this is not that wet at the top. I would say leave it to dry before you do a next layer if you're going to do an ombre. So let's try it different. Now I can't get that out. I'll have to cut it out. Okay. So let's try. How much paint do we have in here? So this stuff, this definitely works. And now for me, I would rather store that and not throw it away because I know it's fine. It's mixed perfectly fine. You just make sure you mix it when you use it again. But you can use it. Why would you, you know what I mean? I'd find a little jar, keep it. Worked. May as well just, use it again. Okay. So let's see if we can do it with something else. Redarken it. So try and rather be further away. Hence why you've got to be careful of all the spray. So that you don't get those splotches. Because the closer you are to it, the more you're going to get those splotches. And also, the darker the spray you want, the darker, you know what I mean? This is purple. If I wanted to have this quite dark, definitely layer it. Spray it, wait for it to dry. That's basically how I did the black, is that I sprayed it, the whole cake black, and then waited for it to dry. So let's just do that. So let's spray this whole cake. And then you can see. So we want it to be a dark purple in the end. So we just spray it for now and let it dry. And obviously on your turntable, it will be better if you put it on your turntable for it. So we'll leave that one to dry a bit. Let's see. This. Oh, that one's dry already. It doesn't really take. And then we can make this one darker a little bit. The bottom. So now I'm only spraying the bottom. I'm not spraying anywhere else. Is it dry? See now because on top of it, but I think it's also because it's a dummy. So just be careful of getting. I'll show you. I'll show it on. You can see it on my turntable. So you want it nice and smooth and even. You don't want to see splotches anyway. And I've seen out of with doing this and using their stuff, when I've been spraying, I've seen more splotches with their stuff than with mine. Okay, I'm just going to go clean this out because I want to try something else. So my thing is that you're not really seeing much of an effect with the pink and the purple. It seems to be, you know, too much of the same color. So I'm just going to go get some yellow. And some orange, because I think that, you know, obviously your hands, especially with the pink. So just also, you know, as you can see, it's quite messy. Just use things like, it's my, you know, just to help you clean, especially if you know, try and do this outside rather than inside like I'm doing today. I can't remember if I've bought, yeah, oh, see, I bought yellow in this. So I'm going to use the yellow and then I'm going to make my own orange. So you can also mix colors like you would normally so that you can get the color that you want. So you can pre-mix it or, you know, say you want like, you wanted to make your own red with yellow and yellow and orange makes red. Yellow and magenta makes red. You know, if you wanted to make your, say, if you want to make your own green, you could definitely pre-mix it and put some blue and yellow together, mix it, and go from there. I'm just gonna clean it out with some water. So I'm gonna just show you something when I do this now, so that you can see. So when I'm cleaning to pack away, or if I have a problem, I do this. So what I'm going to do, I'm first going to get rid of the excess, and I'm going to pour water in. And we're going to spray. Actually, don't put the lid back on. I'm just going to spray it on here. And it's bubbling over, and I'm moving it too much. You can put the lid back on or not, or whatever. Okay. I'm going to show you something. So I'm just going to spray this so that's at the back. You can see. Spraying it to clear out because I'm going to change it to yellow and orange. So that's I don't want that to affect the color. So I want to make sure it's clean. So I'll run it through the whole thing until it's empty. To clean it. I think for me, this is important that you do this, because otherwise you will land up with, splotches and stuff like that. So should you do this, because now it hasn't happened, because I'm trying to be good, okay? Because I don't really want to block this up. But should you have a blockage, move it down so that you can see. Should you have a blockage, I'm going to do that. Should you have a blockage, all you need to do is put your hand on that, and you'll see it start to bubble, and it will unblock. So you can do it like this, and then you see, you just move it a little bit, and it will clear that blockage. So what I would do is, if it's blocked, I would do that and actually empty whatever color it is that you are using, because I don't believe that you'll be able to use it, because it will just continue to block. So I would then chuck that, clean it out, then take clean water and just keep doing that until it's clear out. And then and then I would say just keep emptying this out until there's no residue left. And then when you then do this with your clean water, you'll be able to it should then start spraying very fine and evenly like this. Okay. So I'm just going to pop that water back in there. Okay. So I'm going to mix. So I'm going to use their yellow. So go get it. This really doesn't matter if I use it. So I've got a nice dummy, 15 centimeter dummy I'm going to use. Okay. So I'm going to use their yellow and I'm going to mix my own orange. And I think you'll actually get a better look at what I'm doing. I think, so for me, the main reason why you would have an airbrush, not really to do intricate things, but well, you know what I mean. You can't. Apparently, some people can have you know, been known to actually write with it, but I think that's like a lot of practice. I wouldn't write because my handwriting is terrible. So I wouldn't actually, you know, people who do calligraphy, you know, are able to then use it and write with, which I've seen. So, but my main thing that I would use this for, going forward, is to color black cakes. So if you want a black cake like I'm going to have, color black cakes so that I don't have to mix black icing anymore. Same with the red. If I wanted to do this beautiful ombre thing, which I'm going to show you now, I think you'll see this better because it's going to stand out more with orange and yellow. Definitely my real main reason to have this is to be able to spray shimmer gold and any of the shimmer colors, gold, silver, this shimmer. I think that's you know, it sprays it so evenly and so beautifully, and it comes out so nicely. So yeah, that's a definite plus. One of the things I do want to try, and I'll do it on a live, is I've seen a galaxy cake that's been done with airbrushing. Looks amazing. So again, that's, you know, that's what you would use it for. So I'll probably do a galaxy live. I want to do you know, flowers, where you're spray painting flowers and stuff. So yeah, we're trying different things. But yeah, my main source would be to cover a whole cake, especially black, or do like a lovely, you know, vignette, or what they call ombre, you know, or rainbow, or, you know, that kind of thing. That's what you'd really use the airbrush for, because you get it this nice even look. So you would actually, what you would do is you would cover your cake white, and yeah, definitely if you are doing your cake and your cake is being collected today, my suggestion is that you had iced your cake yesterday to have spray, like iced it in the morning or in the mid-afternoon, to leave it for an hour so that it's settled with your icing, then spray it and give it that night to dry, because you might need to spray it again before you put on any of your toppers and all that kind of stuff. So, as you can see, I don't know if you can see it with this light, it's quite, you can see the residue. That's why I try to block the computer off. Okay, so I've mixed yellow. I'm just going to get yellow through. So, oh, there we go. So I'm just going to lightly go yellow. Like I said, try and keep your everything inside the box to limit this extra spray of color. If you're too close, you're not going to have it even. So you need to be further away to get an even spray. You don't want it blotchy. This is going to look like a lovely sunset when I'm done. Okay, so I would leave it there. I can see that it's pretty even and it's finished as well. Sorry. So what's happening is that it's spraying up that dust from this is not spraying up and it's making me cough, just so you know. Just so you know. But because we're doing yellow and yellow doesn't affect orange, I'm not going to clean it out. But I'm going to leave it to dry. Because let's just give it a minute or two to dry. So that I can then I will put the orange on. And I'm only going to do orange at the bottom. And then we'll leave it to dry. And I think we're going to mix another color. So what I'm going to do, you can use any kind of stencils. This is what I have on hand, my daughter's stencil. So this is actual paint. But because this is not, edible, I'm just going to use it. So I wanted to test out this pink shimmer, which I'll test out just now. But what I actually have is a peach shimmer, which I quite like and I think would look really, really, really nice. So I'm going to use the powders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really, the sky's the limit, artistic license. You do your own thing kind of thing. So I'm going to put a little bit of water with this and a little bit of quick dry. I'm going to mix the two together because the quick dry disappears so fast. In fact, I actually think that this will work without the quick dry. So you kind of want the quick dry because then it will dry quicker, essentially. Again, when you're doing the powders and you're going to do, by all means, buy these, use them. But if you mix this to the right consistency, it's quite runny. I think you can't see that, but it's very runny. It's not thick or anything like that. So as long as it goes through this machine nicely and sprays nicely and it doesn't blotch and it doesn't clog, then you've got the right consistency. And don't freak out if it clogs. Like I showed you, just push this and then it bubbles up. So I'm actually not going to put the quick dry in here. The quick dry, okay, for today I'm not going to put the quick dry. If I was doing a cake, I would probably quick dry in it because you kind of want it to dry quickly. But you can use vodka if you run out of that. If you've got vodka at home, you can do that. So this is dry. So I really want to make sure that this is dry before, no, it's not really dry. Let's see, not dry. Before I do the orange coat, because I don't want it to get that, you see the blotch, you see the dark blotches. So you can get that on the cake if you do it like this, and that is what will happen, because obviously it hasn't dried properly or anything. I mean, it looks pretty cool on the paper. So this is dried. My daughter likes to, she wants to also play with it. So then I let her do it like this kind of thing. Oh, that's stuck. But I don't really want her using my wasting all my edible paint. But I would think that you could so do this with. You could do it with ordinary paint, but you'd have to water it down so that it goes through here. Sorry, I just want to dry my hands, or wash my hands. Otherwise, it's still this is the joys of doing cake art. So she gets beautiful hands. But now, so what I'm going to do is you can see me. I'm going to do the bottom part orange so that it's nice, orange to yellow. And then I'm going to stick this around, and I'm going to do this shimmer in the pattern. Hope it works. Might work. And it'll give you a nice pattern. Yeah. Really, you can try different things. Is it? I think it's, it's still wet. Not dry yet. The top part's dry. But you can see it's quite even. So that's what you would want with your cake, your actual cake. You want it as even as possible. Because obviously, what's the point of doing this if it doesn't look? Then you may as well go back to mixing colors in your buttercream and stuff. Sorry, I'm actually going to cheat a bit, and obviously you wouldn't do this with your cake, so don't do it with your cake. But because this is not cake, I'm just going to cheat a bit, and I'm going to dry this. So definitely don't try and hair dry your cake. I'm just saying. But this will be fun. What we want to do for demo purposes. Okay. So we're going to put some orange in. And you can see how clear and it's quite, there's no lumps or anything. And I use the gel with that. Gel and water. Okay. And then again, always just go on your side, up here, to just check it first. Even to try and get the mix of color through first before. Okay, so we're going to do orange. And because orange and yellow is okay, the one is on top of the other. But this is not absorbent, and I think that's why it's splotchy, but it's still fine. It works perfectly fine for you to practice on how to get it even and stuff like that. Yeah, it's definitely splotchy. I don't think it would do this if you were doing the thicker I want to make this, not thicker, the darker I want to make it, the more it's starting to splotch. But I don't think you would have that cake if you were doing it with buttercream and stuff. So definitely need to, today's demo is really just to show you how to get your machine working and how to start spraying and how to just get started to start playing around with it. And then we'll go, but I will start to, there'll be days where I'm going to use the Airbrush and definitely, and actually do stuff specifically so we can test out what we can do with it on buttercream and on fondant and all that kind of stuff. But today is really just so that we can test it out. But do you see now? Got a bit of that's the water splotches, because this is not absorbent. Okay, so that's the reason why that's happening. Whereas your cake would be absorbent. Okay, so I don't think that's really going to work. The idea of what I wanted to do is not going to work now. Because I wanted to do like but you know where I can do it? You can do it on top here. I just want to show you that if you stick down, if you hold down a stencil and how it works if you did a stencil. Okay, so I just have to say, with something like this, with the powders, you need to make sure that there's no thick lumps or anything like that. So if it's been standing, make sure you go and mix it and make sure it's okay before you put it in your compressor, because you definitely don't want it to block up. And it's more likely to block up with a powder than it is with a gel. If the gel, you've mixed it like this and it's going to just stay like that. That's not going to change. But this will, because the whatever it is will dry out and the powder will be left behind. Especially if you use the quick dry. Okay. It's quite simple, actually. But really, the sky's the limit. Okay. So now because I'm using this, it's starting to hassle with spraying. I don't know if you're going to see this. See now, because so it's not spraying like it should. It's not even. Can you see? It's not even coming on my hand. So something's now blocked up. So I'm just going to bubble it up. And so what's happening here is what I found happened with their gold. So it's not just me. But you see now it's not coming out. It's not working. So you will have a hassle with the shimmers. This is how I had to do it. This is how I had to go about with the gold on snitches. So, and that was using their gold. So I'm not even going to say you have to use their paints, because I had the same issue as if I didn't use it. This is coming out yellow instead of gold. I mean, orange, which is weird. Yeah, you see, I've still got a light and nothing. So yeah, so that's what you're going to get that. If you use the powders, you're going to get it. But again, this is made with powders, so you're going to have the same problem with any of the shimmer stuff. Oh, I think with any of these stuff, actually, to be honest. Oh. Well, at least now you can see what happens when you do use the powder, because you've got to be very aware of that happening. So I'm going to just show you with the gold that I'll have the same result. The same thing will happen. I'm just going to clean out that. So you can see I found that worked so much better. And that is diluted gel. Because your gel's already liquid. It's not going to dry out all weird. Okay, so we're just going to keep clearing that out. So this is, if it does get stuck like this, where it doesn't want to work, there we go. See the difference now? Here we go. Oh no, you didn't see it. Okay, so now when I spray it, you can it cleans out. Okay. So I want to try out this pink, their pink. I want to see what it looks like. We're just going to pop some pink on here. Yeah. If not, why not? Okay. Again, it's their shimmers. And I'm getting the same issue. Yeah. Shouldn't be battling to come out like this. So I think whether you use their shimmers or whether you make your own shimmers, you're going to have the same problem. So just be aware of it, that there could be some kind of plugging happening. There we go. Here comes the pink. Taking its time. There we go. Sure. You can see the... So I don't want to do this too much near the computer, so I'll be wrapping it up. And then, how cool is that? That's cool. Oh, sure. The dust is bad. How cool is that? that works out quite nicely. So you can see how you can do an ombre and stuff like that. So that's come out quite nicely, actually. Quite cool. Not pink because of the orange, but so you can use any stencil. You can make your own. I'm actually going to try and make some of my own because I've got a cutter. I've got a scan cut. I'm going to try and make my own stencils to use on the cakes and stuff. Anyway, guys, so this is me. Sure, what a mess. What a mess, what a mess, what a mess. What a mighty big mess. But that's the basics. It really is the basics of this. There's not much to it other than this, what I've just shown you. And then obviously cleaning it out, like I said, like I showed you. Let's, when I look at my face, so let's do, you can look at that and then look at my face. Where's my laptop? Okay, so yeah, get it, play it around. I think your main thing is to know that you don't have to. They want you to use it, but you don't have to buy it. It's their paints, because I think you'll have, it really is, this works really, really well. I can now get a tub and store it, and I'll know, you know, I can start as I make colors, so that I don't have to keep making it. I know that this is the right consistency. It's fine. Store the color, and I can use it at another stage. You know, I think I'm just going to get myself some squeegee bottles like this and make my own colors so that they're done and made, and I know that they're fine. Yeah. So you can use the powders, but be aware with the powders that you need to use a lot of quick dry and a lot of water to make sure it's thin enough to go through. Because even with this one, it still makes it difficult to go through. I found that with their gold started clogging up and stuff. So, and it was theirs. So they, like I say, they want you to use these so that if there's an issue, then they can say, okay, you've only used these colors, then there must be the machine or whatever it is, or else they'll totally blame you for using this. But you can use this with water. Use powders with water or with quick dry. I wouldn't suggest the gels with quick dry. It's weird. It has like a weird reaction to it, like almost like a curling kind of thing. So yeah, I wouldn't use gel and quick dry. So you just have to spray paint and leave it out to dry. And obviously in summer it'll dry way quicker than it will right now. In winter in Cape Town. But so like for me, I'll make sure that I would have iced my cake on Monday morning, so that I can spray paint it that day, let it dry and everything, and then finish my cake off on Tuesday just before they collect, so that it's had time to dry. I mean, obviously they're not going to touch it, and there's not much to my cake. But if there was like toppers and stuff like that, you don't want to touch it and then smudge it and make weird, that kind of thing. And obviously you're going to try and not touch it anyway, because, it's your cake. You want it perfect. So anyway, guys, that is like serious basics of using an airbrush. Make sure you clean it properly. That's what I can say. Make sure you spray water through it to clean it properly. Spray water through it to, in between color changes, unless it's like yellow and orange, yellow, orange and red, you're not gonna have a problem there. But if you want to go from orange to green or purple, best you clean it, or your golds or whatever. Yeah, make sure you run the water through so that's nice and clean and it sprays clean. If you see the splotching when you are actually doing it on your cake, you are too close. And you overdo, you're too close to it. You need to be further away from it so that there's more of an even spray. So yeah, you need to be quite far. So my suggestion, if it's possible, like today for us, it's sunny outside, so you can do this outside. But in the heat of summer, probably not, because I don't want my cake cooking in the heat, melting in the heat. So. But yeah, do it outside quickly. Pop it in the fridge so that it cools down. Actually, that's probably what I do in summer. quickly do it outside, get all the spraying done so that it's not on everything in your house and then or in your kitchen, and then quickly pop it in the fridge to cool down so that it's, you know, fine. Anyway, guys, hope you have a super duper fantastic weekend. I can't tell you what's happening next week because I haven't decided. I normally can kind of tell you what I'm doing. Oh wait, I lie. I'm doing something for Women's Day on Friday next week. Actually, I might just do whatever it is that I'm doing for Women's Day on Wednesday. Okay, you'll just have to watch my, keep an eye on my Facebook page to see which day. It'll either be Wednesday or Friday because I'm going for my jab on Friday morning. So if I do Friday, it will be Friday afternoon. It won't be Friday morning. So next week might only be once in the week, but I'm going to do something for Women's Day. So I was wanting to do it for Friday, but I might actually just do it on Wednesday because I'm going for my jab on Friday. So then there won't be anything on Friday. Yeah. Okay. But that's me. Have a super duper weekend, and I hope you all have a lovely, safe and warm weekend. It looks like it's going to be warm. After being super freezing, it looks like it's going to be warm this weekend. So that's sunshine. You can take the dog to the dog park kind of thing and go down to the beach possibly. Oh, even though it's freezing. Okay. All right, guys. Let me say goodbye one more time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification button so that you can... Oh, that's nice. It stopped streaming. What happened? What happened? Yes, it stopped streaming. It's getting a bad... Oh, okay. And I just died.